Welcome back to Centennial Reflections. I'm Rich Carvell, talking with Henry Jones, former president and CEO of the Greater Jonesboro Area Chamber of Commerce. Henry, before we went to break, we were talking about the relationship between ASU and industrial recruitment for the city of Jonesboro. What about the relationship between the Chamber of Commerce and Arkansas State gaining university status back in 1967?
Well, of course, I wasn't with the Chamber here in Jonesboro at that time, but I was a Chamber executive down in Southeast Arkansas and was aware of everything that was going on because I had that interest that went back to
as an alum.
As an alum.
Yeah, right.
That's right. But the Jonesboro Chamber, Bob Harrelson, an ASU alumnus, was the Chamber executive at that time. And he and the big community leaders really got behind this, and they labored hard and lobbied the state. Mr. Ray Hall Sr. and Dean Moore and all of them, they were going around the state and lining up. Of course, Carl Ring was the head man of all of that,
right,
and lining up the votes and so forth. But the local chamber, I think, began to realize that the economic impact of Arkansas State on the community is so great. How much greater could it be with university status, and really truly recognize what Arkansas State had done over the 40 or 50 years from a regional district agricultural school to being prepared to be a university with colleges that would have a little depth in their programs and their departments. And it was very important. And as I recall, the day that the governor signed the bill to create Arkansas State University, that there was an impromptu parade from campus, I've been told, I wasn't there,
right,
down to the courthouse. And Bob Harrelson, who was the chamber executive, had a song that he had written to the tune of Jimmy Driftwood's Battle of New Orleans thing, and I've got a tape recording of it somewhere in my files. But it was just a grand time, and the people in the chamber that had labored long and hard for at least 10 years for university status were rewarded. The community was rewarded. The state of Arkansas was rewarded by having a second state university, and it opened the door. Now we've got a half a dozen, I suppose. But it was a great day for the business community, and the economic impact of students is a great thing.
It's been a great relationship between Jonesboro and ASU. And I think another example of that is as the university made this major change in its athletic mascot from the Indians, mandated by the NCAA, to the Red Wolves, the chamber played a part in the process of selecting that. You actually had someone who was on that committee.
That's right. Kerry White, an ASU alumnus who is the Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer of the Chamber, and still is today, was on that committee. And it was really quite an experience, because she would tell me from time to time the things they were going through. They did it right, they took their time, and I was one of those that understands that, you know, in intercollegiate athletics, the NCAA makes the rules,
right,
whether it's how much extra point's going to be, or what the penalty's going to be for a certain foul or violation. They're the ones that make the rules on what mascots will be. For whatever reason, right or wrong, they made the ruling that that Indian imagery and Indian name was not be allowed unless you were endorsed by a specific tribe, like the Seminoles of Florida and Florida State. So Arkansas State, even though I think they had a long history of honoring the imagery of the Indians, and of course they had the Jumping Joe and the Running Joe.
You've got an example.
Yeah, I've got a Jumping Joe clock that that I've got. But I think we realized in that process that that this was not the imagery we wanted for the Indians, and they worked away from that. But the NCAA said, well, you've got to do away with it all the way. And I believe that the The Red Wolf mascot is very appropriate and very well received by the public.
It really has been received
and
well.
a bonanza for the people selling the T-shirts and sweatshirts, and it's been accepted, and I believe that a lot of the alumni are beginning to accept it more and more as they see what it's the feeling you get if you get out on campus or around town or even down in Little Rock of what the Red Wolves are, and I really like that. Now I'm an Indian in wolf's clothing,
yeah.
but still it was the proper thing to do, and as I say, we didn't make the rules, we followed the rules, and so
very quickly, the future, particularly with regard to the economy and that sort of thing. What's the next big step for Jonesboro and the Chamber and ASU, maybe in terms of transportation?
Well, I think the biggest thing in terms of transportation is the completion of a 4-lane interstate quality road from the state capital to Jonesboro. And we're working on that as we speak, because the stimulus package right now has some additional funds that we hadn't been counted on. In 2010, the Highway Department will go to contract with the 4 lanes from 67 in its new location out on 226 in toward 49, and hopefully on up to 63, although you would be able to get on a 4-lane at Highway 49 when this project's completed.
Well, we look forward to finally getting that completed.
Yes. Well, by this fall, students from Central Arkansas can come all the way to within 12 or 15 miles of Jonesboro on an interstate quality highway this fall, and then the next 3 or 4 years all the way in. And I think that means a lot, because you look at all the ways to get to Jonesboro from Central Arkansas, where the bulk of the other students are. You've got to come through some swamps, as the people in Little Rock call them, when you come through the bottom land between here and Newport, if you will.
Henry, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's this Centennial Reflection. I'm Rich Carvell.